Hello, everybody or anybody, whoever is listening. I don't think anybody's listening because I haven't actually done anything for a while. I don't think anybody did in the first place. But nevertheless, after a prolonged absence, I feel the need to resume my vlogging, my driving ranting, calm rants, my observations, my questions, my moans, my queries, my suggestions. And today I wanted to talk about clown world, for that is a term that I am increasingly hearing, and this is the inspiration actually behind my moans. Having a drink. You might think, how does that connect? Quite simply, I try and have a drink, and I find the process of just taking the lid off my bottle to be a bit farcical. It's sort of connected in a way that makes it hard to drink from. So you end up having to drink from the side, or drink in a stupid way. It's just stupid, basically. And as a consequence, I take the lid off, which is a bit stupid. And if I don't take the lid off, then I find that the lid is very hard to put it back on properly. Discovered this when kept on having leaks in the fridges, in my fridge, and then realised it's because the lid's never getting put on quite right, because it's very hard to put the lid back on. And it's like, what on earth? How have we found ourselves in this situation where, like, just something as simple as putting a bottle lid on is like a comic sketch. It's like a farce. It's like a joke, and it just beggars belief. And what I find amazing is, like, we're like 2025 now, you know. This is supposed to be the future, you know, the future where, like, I don't know, we're supposed to be. I was thinking like the movies as a showcase of the times we're in and the times we're going into, and they give you the impression the future's gonna be like flying cars and beam me up Scotty and all that kind of stuff. But no, we've got bottle lids that we can't remove from the bottles. And what beggars belief is that it's across the board. Like everybody, every company that makes a plastic bottle has these lids that stick to the bottles. So that suggests to me that there must have been some kind of group meeting between global leaders, and they've kind of come to this decision. It's like, yes, what we'll do is we'll make the bottle lids hard to detach from the bottles, because that's gonna save the world. I just don't get the thought process. What doesn't make sense to me. I mean, the same amount of plastic is still being produced. What is it, the bottle lids that was kind of causing the destruction? Now you've got the bottle and the lid, so, or rather than coming separate, with people just chucking the lids away. I don't know. I can't make sense of it. And that's just an example. And I just, like I said, this term clown world is very prevalent in our current society, and I just wonder how and why it's got to this. It's funny because I said about the movies, like, I don't watch movies like other people. I kind of see movies as I think I have to have an in-depth discussion. I used to write a blog called Drama-Based Mind Control, which is sort of a phrase I've sort of coined, term I've coined, relating to sort of MK Ultra, but on like on a broader scale, and how it's influencing the masses through these different techniques. Part of the idea with the drama-based mind control was kind of showcasing how movies kind of come out and they sort of parallel our times, where we're at, where we're going. As I said, it's kind of I don't then people say, well, art imitating life, life imitating art. For me, it was more a case of, I think some of them are conspired. I think some of them are made to come out. But I also think there's a case of, there's a synchronistic factor as to why movies come out and kind of coincide with time and sort of signs and symbols that are relative to what we're doing. I kind of liken it to like a tarot card, but on like a grander scale. So if you get the idea of, I've never actually gone for a reading myself. I find tarot fascinating. Once again, I think it's a form of synchronicity. What the idea is that you sort of pull a card or so many cards, and these pictures, which have multi-layered meanings, kind of give you a clue as to whatever it is you want to sort of talk about. It could be a clue to something that's happening in your life, something that's happened in your life, or something that's due to happen in your life. So these pictures are like a reading, and then people think people are sort of seeing into the future. I'm not going to say what's going on, but my impression of it is synchronicity. Synchronicity happens. Synchronicity is meaningful coincidence. So a card being pulled and you relating it to your past, present or future, it would be a coincidence, a meaningful one. And I see movies in a similar kind of scale. So you see, I mean, you don't even have to see the movie. I see it with movie adverts. You know, like you get the advert for the billboard, like you get them on the side of the buses. So I'm driving along and I see a bus and there's a movie coming out, like for example, when we had COVID, we had the lockdowns, and then driving around in the buses had the movie A Quiet Place, and like you're driving around in the streets of dead, it's like A Quiet Place, and it's like I just found that a funny coincidence, a meaningful coincidence, and I see that kind of thing happening all the time. Like I said, I used to write a blog on it so I could almost document many occasions of it, but then I sort of expanded on it, so I didn't just do it based on that. I could just use the titles of movies to give a theme for whatever it was I wanted to discuss, which was generally synchronicity and geopolitics, conspiracy, culture, that kind of stuff. Anyway, I remember I stopped writing this pretty much in the first year when COVID came out. I think I had almost reached my point of, it was like a crescendo, and like, this is it. This is, I've been writing for God knows how many years about something that was impending, and when COVID came along, it wasn't impending anymore, it was here. This is it. I actually wrote my last, or one of my last articles was called Farmageddon, and I started writing that before COVID had any sort of hint of COVID coming out. And then when you think about what happened, what transpired since, with the big pharma almost ending the world, you know, there's another great example of what I'm talking about, Farmageddon. But one film that came out that I thought at the time, what does this mean? Because I just felt it had some sort of meaning, and like I said, I see that in everything, and I can make meaning, and it has meaning, and you make of it what you want. But a film that came out in 2019, literally the end of the year, which was bang on time for when the scamdemic hit, Farmageddon sort of came about, was Joker. And I kind of feel like the whole COVID thing was the beginning of clown world. So that was interesting timing, and I think that's an example of what I'm talking about. Because we really are living in clown world now, you know. another sort of cliche movie plot that I think is a parallel to our society is the idea of like the lunatics running the asylum. You know, I can't actually think of any. There's loads of. I can't remember. I think One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is kind of that premise. There was a film with Michael Caine which I really enjoyed, and kind of a slept-on movie actually. It's not a movie I remember ever hearing about at the time it came out, and don't really ever see since. I cannot think for the life of me what it's called, but I'm sure Michael Caine was in it, and that was definitely a film where the idea. I mean, spoiler alert, but I'm not even giving you the title, so you have to seek it out anyway. And if you know what I'm talking about, you've probably seen it already. But in this movie, it was very much so that the lunatics were running the asylum. So the guy ends up in the asylum and ends up realizing that he's the sane one, and the people in charge are the maniacs. I feel like there was a film with Leonardo DiCaprio as well. Like I said, it's a common theme, and the point is, exactly as I said, is that the lunatics are running the asylum, and that's where we're at. You know, like I said, these bottle lid things, this nonsense where people in charge have sort of come to this blanket decision that is in our best interests. Like, really, that's you're like the apex, the elite, so to say. I don't like calling them elite, and this is why. But this is the idea that they're putting out to us is they're the elites. You know, the creme de la creme, the top of the top, the peak of the pyramid. You know, I mean, that's the whole idea of our symbols is the eye at the top of the pyramid is like this detached point that's looking over everybody else. And yeah, they sit around scheming on making plastic bottles hard to drink from. I mean, the only sense I can make of such the idea is that it's like a mockery. It's not even supposed to make sense. It is. I find that generally with this sort of culture is that things don't make sense, and then the only time you can make sense of it is when you realise they're not supposed to. Then it makes perfect sense. If that makes sense, you know. But yeah, here we are, clown world. Lunatics running the asylum. You know, I've done a few videos in the past about the zones and all that kind of stuff, and in the time I've sort of been away, we've reached a point now where that's become sort of prevalent. Like they've got this, what do they call it, liveable neighbourhood in Bristol, and just the name of it, the livable, is the joke. Well, they suggested it wasn't livable before, and now the idea of it being livable is that they're shutting the streets down and everyone's got a sort of queue in traffic around the outside. And I don't know, I remember when it first happened, there was I seen this video of a load of people doing exercises in this cul-de-sac that was no longer drivable. So, and I just found the whole thing so cringeworthy. It was disgusting. It's like, it was, once again, it seemed like a mockery. It's like, is this why you've shut all the streets down so that some people can do a bit of yoga in the street in night time? Honestly, it was like a farce. It was comical, and just how are people coming to these decisions where they're impacting our lives in such a major way? And I don't know, I feel like the only way you can gravitate to a position of influence is by being a moron now, you know? Another example of stupidity that beggars belief is like my street, my road that I live on. They've a couple of weeks ago they resurfaced it, and you know, give them their credit. Oh, finally they've doing, you know, they're forever putting up our taxes and so forth, and I always wonder like where this money actually goes, what we're investing in, because it doesn't seem like it's going towards any good cause. It seems like prices are escalating and services are de-escalating. But yeah, they resurfaced our road, just our road, and it took a long time, but yeah, they did it. But anyway, they resurfaced our road 2 weeks later, and currently they've dug the whole road up. They're doing like gasworks. So literally the whole road's got holes in it. It's in an absolute state. And it's like, what? How is this possible? How is it even feasible? How is it no communication? It beggars belief. It is honestly, it's like a comedy sketch. It's a farce. You couldn't write it, you know. If you've seen it like in some movie, you'd think it was like The Naked Gun or something. You know what I mean? Like Leslie Nielsen's the guy making the decisions. It's comical. It really is comical. It beggars belief. So here we are, 2025, and yeah, the lunatics are running the asylum now. You know, they say the council, they call them the council where I'm from, and you know that's it. It's clown world. It really is clown world. It's Idiocracy. There's a great film, a great example of a film that gives a deep insight into our future. And there's an old film as well. I need to watch it again actually, because it's timeless, this film, for anyone that hasn't seen it. It's actually a comedy, and but it's prophetic. You live in this time where I think this basically some real simple guy ends up, I can't remember how or why, but basically he ends up in the future, and he's a bit of a simpleton. He's a really simple guy, not very intelligent, but he ends up in the future because he's sort of in some sort of state of cryo sleep or something, and he wakes up in the future, and people are so stupid that he's a genius now. He's like he's a genius, and I'm struggling to remember the film exactly now, but yeah, that's the basic premise, is that this stupid guy wakes up in the future and he's like the smartest guy around, and there's so many points of that movie that just make so much sense now. You know, there's even like eerie call them coincidences, whatever, like I haven't seen the film, like I said, for a while myself, but my brother watched it recently, and he told me that in the future, in this movie, and I think this movie is a good like 20 years old at least, but in this movie, everybody in the future, where everyone's idiots, they all wear Crocs. And look around now, everyone's wearing Crocs, you know. Sorry to offend you if you're wearing Crocs, but that's not my perception, that's not my insight, but it's just an example of the times, the time, the prophecy. You know, like the president is he's like WWF, and the whole thing. You really need to see this movie. Another is a great point in the movie is I remember there was this pile of rubbish that was like a mountain of rubbish, because people got so stupid that they didn't know what to do with rubbish. So rubbish is just piled on top of each other, and I think there's like some massive avalanche, which was like well, I think that's how the guy ended up waking up from his sleep to come back into the future. But yeah, you really need to see this movie. It's yeah, it's poignant and scarily prophetic. But yeah, Idiocracy, clown world, lunatics running the asylum. That's where we're at. And I had loads of examples in my head, but I realised I've just been rambling on now for coming on to 90 minutes. So I'm going to stop. But I'm back. And I think I need to start doing this again. Maybe sort of breaking it down, then I can just release another little short video and just get things off my chest, because there's plenty to, and it probably is healthy. So yeah, peace and love for now. Enjoy Clown World and this divine comedy, and you know, there's a perk to living in Clown World. It's got to be entertaining. You've got to laugh. If you didn't laugh, you'd cry. So laugh, enjoy it. Enjoy this comedy, this sketch, this farce, this circus that we find ourselves in. So yeah, peace and love. Ciao for now. Bye bye.